time to talk about My Little Pony again. Oh, one sec. Hey Mary, can you come over here and open this jar?
You're really underutilizing my alicorn powers here, Maddie. You might as well ask me to make smoothies for eternity. Saying that, though, there isn't a jar in the entire universe I can't open. Why, what's in it?
Oh, just an emulsion of oil, egg yolk, and acid, probably vinegar or lemon juice, you know.
Oh, you mean it's a jar of thick, cold, and creamy sauce or dressing commonly used on sandwiches and hamburgers, combo salads, and french fries?
Yeah, if only this jar of thick, cold, and creamy sauce or dressing commonly used on sandwiches, hamburgers, combo salads, and french fries had a shorter name, so that when I asked you to open this jar, you know, it wouldn't take so long for me to ask you to open this jar of cold and creamy sauce or dressing commonly used on sandwiches, hamburgers, combo salads, and french fries.
Oh, you mean like Alfredo sauce?
No.
Bechamel sauce?
Pretty sure it's pronounced bechamel sauce.
Chorizo sauce?
No.
Mushroom sauce?
Ew!
Mayonnaise sauce?
No.
Sauce allemande? Sauce americane?
No! Mary! Mayonnaise!
Oh my god, it's so good that I'm not superstitious and I don't have to do a ritual to ward off bad luck. And there's no such thing as bad luck when it comes to being Mary Sue.
So will you open this jar or not?
Maybe after you get done talking about your thoughts on MLP Generation 5. Make your mark the Netflix series.
I'd call that a fair exchange. I've always wanted to be paid by mayonnaise jars.
Bing bong!
It's been 5 months since I talked about My Little Pony, and my god, am I concerned with where this franchise is going. Or not going. I kind of fell off the pony's saddle for a while, and you know what they say. When you fall off a horse, you watch it speed away and wait months before talking about it again because life is complicated and I am easily distracted. Oh, look, a housefly. MLP G5 is a series that is riding the coattails of Generation 4 quite literally and deliberately, which is quite possibly the most frustrating thing about G5 to me. The other thing is that, in my opinion, G5 has kind of made the My Little Pony franchise come to a screeching halt.
Hey, Scat! Scat! Go on, you! All right, I'm gonna try something else.
The other thing is that it can't seem to decide who the lead character is.
Me!
Zip is best pony. Fight me. In the movie, it's Sunny. In the first chapter of the Netflix series Make Your Mark, Zip seems to be focused on more. And in chapter 2 of the Netflix series, more attention is given to Sunny, but yet again, Zip is far more interesting to me. Because she's best pony. In my opinion, the two princesses, Zip and Pip, are the strongest and most interesting characters because there's a sibling rivalry here, with them causing some much needed conflict and cynicism in a show that lacks the intelligence and sophistication that G4 did. I am going to try to avoid constantly comparing G5 to G4 because let's look at it for what it is instead of for what it isn't, and also I know how much people miss G4, but you know, times move on. Let's try to keep up with what this franchise is doing now. Saying that, though, it's kind of hard not to compare G5 to G4, especially when G5 is supposed to be set in the same universe as G4, which is the first time a pony generation has done that. All generations before that have been their own thing, separate from other generations that have come before it. In my opinion, if G5 didn't have G4 to stand on, I think it would just fall over on its face several times. Yeah, the writing in this generation is not great. The biggest weakness is it's using G4 as a crutch. If I have to compare G4 to G5, I would say that G5 lacks the intelligence, sincerity, and magical elements that made G4 great. G5 has cell phone technology. Wait, what is wrong with Izzy's face here? This is the first time we're seeing her face in the Netflix series. Like, come on, why is she so miserable? Because magic has been gone for so long, now that it's come back, the ponies have to learn how to use it all over again, but it's really not explored enough. You have some earth ponies that are frustrated and angry about the magic being returned to the Pegasi and Unicorn. That was kind of interesting to me at first, but again, I would have liked to have seen some kind of conflict between ponies using technology and preferring to use technology over magic in spite of having magic again. You know, maybe have an earth pony who, in spite of having the magical abilities to grow their own food, insist on doing it the old-fashioned old-fashioned way. In fact, you know what? That could have been the role of Sprout in this series. That would have been really cool. He's so underutilized, it's ridiculous. But no, that's not going to happen. Not to mention that the characters, apart from maybe Zip and maybe even Opaline, are conveyed to be incredibly stupid and, well, shallow's not the right word, but I guess just not really explored as much as the characters in G4 were. It's kind of like we're watching the G5 ponies surf along the waters of G4 and they're not diving in as much as G4 did into the lore. Okay, the lore was still pretty flimsy in G4, but at least it gave you enough to dive into it and find a lot to chew over. In G5, I'm just frustrated over how poor the writing is here. Shoving a G4 reference in our face to say, hey look, we can relate to the fans. Look, here's G4 reference, here's holographic Twilight. Look at this. It's like you're just jingling a set of keys in front of your fans and going, ooh, look at this. I was genuinely excited to see Twilight in the trailer for this series, and when she finally appears in the Netflix series, I'm like, okay, finally, we've got some answers to this really weak setup for G5. But the only character that seems even interested in the plot is Zip. She's also the only one recording this message. Not even Pip, who is on her phone all the time, is recording this. Why isn't she the main character here? You know what? I need to calm down. There's just an ignorant naivety about most of the characters in this series. And sadly, that's also a problem I have with Sunny. She is so naive and easily tricked by the villain of the series that I can't help but feel like Zip should have been the lead. She seems to be the only character that is interested in the main plot, and more to the point, she is the only one of the characters that the villain seems wary of, and she even warns Misty about.
Be extra careful with the older one. She's far too curious for my liking.
How can you even think about Portrait Day when the mystery of that warning from Twilight Sparkle is still waiting to be solved? Who was this evil force she was trying to warn us about? How did she build protection around Equestria? She said we were in danger, Pip. We all saw that Twilight Sparkle hologram thingy, right? That message was so cryptic. She said we should have Earth Pony magic for the first time, which tracks, but there's a pony who's going to steal magic? Every pony has magic now, so that doesn't make any sense. We can't just sing a song and ignore everything. What do you think, Pip?
Let me take a selfie.
I mean, if the main characters of the story don't show any interest in the main plot, why should we? I mean, it doesn't really add any urgency. Sunny is so preoccupied by selling smoothies and creating community gardens that even Opaline is unimpressed. I mean, look at that face here. I feel your pain, Opal. I really do. I mean, Sunny has alicorn magic, and what does she do with it?
What, you just asked an alicorn to open a mayonnaise jar for you. That's not really utilizing alicorn magic now, is it? Bing bong! Opaline is a totally cool alicorn OC, and you know it.
All I'm saying is, if you're going to have another alicorn added into the mix, you better know what you're going to do with her and utilize the magic properly. This series has 2, well, technically 3 if you count Twilight, but they have no idea what they're doing with any of them.
Shut up! You don't know nothing about anything.
Okay, let's talk about what Sunny does with her alicorn magic, or what she doesn't do with it, shall we? She starts a campaign for growing vegetables and not eating junk food. You know, it's funny because one of the background ponies actually points out that she's just trying to get them to buy more of her smoothies.
We eat too much junk food!
You're just saying that to get us to come to your smoothie cart.
But no, Sunny is genuinely trying to make the world a better place, and where better to start than with encouraging people to eat more healthily. Never mind the fact that, you know, now that the Earth Ponies can grow giant fruit and veg, that this would, you know, solve world hunger. No. She's more interested in combining plants to make hybrids of fruit and veg to make food more tasty. Oh yeah, Earth Ponies have flora magic now. Basically, they've all become poison ivy. Of course, Sunny would want to figure out Earth Pony magic. She makes smoothies for a living. Having an entire race of ponies being able to magically grow fruit and vegetables to enormous size would end world hunger. I mean, revolutionize agriculture. I was somehow reminded of the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs here, especially when Sprout made a cherry so big it rolled after him like the boulder from that Indiana Jones movie. Which one was it again? Who cares? I want to see an episode where the food becomes sentient and chases after the ponies. Actually, maybe I just want to see Sprite crushed by one of his own cherries that he grew himself. Because karma. Now that would make a very cool Nightmare Nights episode. Also, did the ponies forget what Sprout did in the movie? Is he just getting away scot-free here? Yeah, I hope that cherry does crush him eventually.
Look out! Here comes Tom!
Why constantly eat junk food full of, well, junk, when we have amazing new Earth Pony powers we could be using to create fresh fruits and veggies of our own? We could magically combine plants to make them more delicious, or even invent new flavors of fruits.
Yeah, that's great. That's definitely going to change the world. Remember the big bad alicorn that's out to get you? Remember that? Maybe you can throw a smoothie at her, I don't know. Also, you would think that Sunny would be smart enough to realize, this mirror is talking to me and it's an alicorn version of me. Maybe this is the evil alicorn that Twilight warned us about. But no, Sunny's not smart enough for that. Also, Opaline actually questions how growing a community garden is her dream. You'd think Sunny would be like, why is my reflection questioning my dreams? Surely they would know what my dreams are because they are supposed to be me.
Even the community garden?
That's your wildest dream? We'll work on that.
Do you see what I mean about this writing being so dumb? And when the mirror starts talking to her, Sunny excitedly starts to run off to tell Pip that it can talk to her. And Opaline tells her not to do that. You'd think that Sunny would be like, yeah, this is definitely that evil alicorn that Twilight warned us about. Maybe I should take this to Zip because she's the only one that seems interested in the plot. Another problem we have here is that there are so many questions to be answered that the main characters already seem to somewhat know, or know some answers, but argue over what is true and what isn't. Much like the Brony fandom itself. What exactly happened between the events of G4 and G5? Are we ever going to actually find out? Are we going to learn along with the characters that actually care about the plot here? Or are we going to be spoon-fed what actually happened? Well, open wide, here comes the exposition spoon.
My name is Mr. Spoon and I'm... Ouch! A prickly cactus!
Now, where did I leave my suitcase full of glitter?
Yeah, spoons will never not be funny.
What's with all the spoons?
I don't know, Zip. What's with all the attitude? I'm sorry, Zip. I still think you're best pony. You don't have an attitude. What am I on about? Let's get back to talking about G5. We see Sunny tell a story where Twilight locked magic away from all three species in the Unity Crystals in order to protect her kingdom from an alicorn named Opaline, who believes alicorns are the superior race and is seeking revenge on all pony kind for being exiled all those years ago. Basically, Opaline is like the MLP equivalent of Voldemort. Here's hoping she doesn't drink actual unicorn blood to stay alive, though. Maybe that's why she's keeping Misty around. Misty, get out of there while you still can! So I know Dr. Wolf made the comparison of Opaline and Misty being like Quasimodo and Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I thought you got lost. Like the time I rescued you as a filly. So kind of me to do that.
When your heartless mother abandoned you as a child, anyone else would have drowned you. And this is my thanks for taking you in and raising you as my son.
It would be terrible for you to abandon your only friend.
I am your only friend.
Quasi needs an adult. But it's also funny to me that, you know, a Hercules reference was handed to me on a silver platter, and it's everything in me not to make the reference.
I can't believe this guy. I throw everything I've got at him, and it doesn't even...
Thirsty?
Oh no, I failed. What a shame. But again, Zip seems to be the only one who is actually caring that there's a vengeful alicorn out there somewhere, while the others care more about going viral on social media, or pretending to be a superhero, or assemblage art.
And this piece makes no sense.
There are two kinds of metal in this yard. Scrap and art. What you currently have in your mouth is art!
Okay, so as adorable as Izzy is here, I really do miss Rarity's sophistication when it comes to creativity. But it's also nice that we're seeing a so-called creative character that's on a different wavelength than Rarity here. I mean, Rarity's a fashionista, and Izzy is into dadaism and sings songs about trash. Hey, why is the animated series on YouTube better than the Netflix series? I should make a video about that series, actually. Also, while I'm on the subject, I'm not an animator here, but you don't have to be an animator to recognize bad animation. And the CGI for G5 the Netflix series isn't actually that bad. I mean, you have to expect a quality drop when it comes to animation comparing it to the G5 movie, but, you know, I don't have much to complain about here, other than some of the lip syncing being off, and there are some animation errors here and there, but I'm not going to get hung up about that. I mean, some of the rendering and the lighting is pretty crappy, but it could be a lot worse. I do miss the 2D animation styles of G4, but you know what? For the first generation of this franchise to be in CG, I'm kind of impressed with how decent the animation is here, in regards to the fact that this is essentially a budgeted show made for television, or well, television's dead right now, but streaming services instead of a theatrical release movie. Is it a bad thing to say that the animation of the series to me is the best thing about G5 and everything else just falls flat? A good example of things falling flat was the conflict in the movie and in the special when it comes to the prejudice and cautiousness towards the new magic. After chapter 1 of the Netflix series, magic seems to not be such a big deal anymore, other than an episode where Hitch is trying to set rules for the Earth ponies in regards to how they're using the magic in Maritime Bay, and decides to ban it altogether, which is, according to Sunny, is definitely not a good idea, and I have to agree with her there, but at the same time, I agree with Hitch. The magic is not being controlled, so there needs to be rules in place. You can't just let the Earth ponies do whatever they want willy-nilly. They're slowly destroying the town, which is probably exactly what Opaline wants. The prejudice and fear that was present in the movie and the special has all but dissipated, more or less, and is instead replaced with orders from the sheriff.
Be nice! Sheriff's orders!
Yeah, the whole forced friendship thing is not a new theme in MLP, but here it's really hammered home. Instead of solving conflict, the main five just expect it to stop, because they say so. And oh, by the way, these 5 characters all get along great. I mean, seriously, there's hardly any serious conflict between these guys. Okay, so Sunny and Hitch argue over who has the hardest job in one episode, and they end up swapping personalities because of the stupid dragon's metronome magic. Seriously, the baby dragon is the Togepi of this franchise. Or is he the Scrappy-Doo of the series? I can't pick.
Uncle Scooby? Hi, I'm Scrappy-Doo!
Subtle hints have been dropped that Sparky's magic may be something that Opal will be pursuing, but it's not really explored any further than that. It's almost like this series is kind of just skimming the surface, offering little tidbits of something that should be deeper or just spent more time on. As for the villain of the series, Opaline and her ward, Misty, as cliche of a villain as Opaline is, I do like that we have an Alicorn villain in MLP who feels like a classic flamboyant over-the-top villain from the 80s, who is power-hungry purely for the sake of it. Yeah, I have said in the past that I hate villains who are evil for the sake of it, but I do feel like there is more to Opaline than we have seen so far. I want to know more about her story, and maybe we'll get more of that in chapter 3, who knows. I do hope she is given more depth as the series goes on, and I also hope that Misty is given more opportunities to interact with the main 5. So far, it's a very concerning start. There is a danger of constantly comparing this series to G4, which I'm trying not to do, but that's pretty hard to avoid doing when there's a giant hologram of Twilight Sparkle leaving a message within the Unity Crystals warning the ponies about Opaline. Yeah, Twilight is basically an EMH, emergency magical hologram. Please state the nature of the magical emergency. Yeah, only Trekkies will appreciate that joke. At least I'm not going for the obvious help me Obi-Wan Kenobi joke.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I said at least I'm not. Why am I angry? I'm the one that edited this. There's more I want to cover here, but I think I'll make separate videos on some of the elements of the show that I did like or had issues with, instead of making this video ridiculously long. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative. Now to put some mayonnaise on my sandwich.
Maddie, I opened the jar.
Yeah, now it's in pieces on the floor.
I got the job done.
0 points for efficiency. What am I going to put on my sandwich now?
How about some horseradish?
That is so funny.